Maya Gamble. She had a death in her family, so she's not able to participate this evening. Let's all please give her a prayer to her family. If you'd all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. So we do have a quorum. Dr. Schultz is on the phone. We need to have language so we can add him to our meeting tonight. Did someone want to provide that language, please?
I want to get it right. Indy, do you know the exact term? Sorry.
I have to pull it up. The attorney is stuck in traffic, so if you give me a second.
Okay. You still there with us, John?
I am. Can you hear me?
Quite well. Thank you, sir.
Great.
You're on. Can you give the language for the electronic join by electronic meeting? Hold on, I'm gonna put you on speaker. Hold on a second. All right, go ahead.
You just made a motion to authorize participation due to personal reason by electronic means.
I make a motion that we allow Dr. Chenault to participate in tonight's meeting via the phone since he is out of town on business. I second that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stork, second by Mr. Hagman. All in favor?
Aye.
The first item up is our consent agenda. Does someone want to make a motion to approve that? Or are there any issues?
I can make the motion to approve as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Consent agenda, motion by Mr. Voigt, second by Mr. Hagman. Any discussion on anything? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right. We will now move on to public comments. We have 3 minutes per individual for public comments. When you approach the podium, please state your name and address. Please also note that we as council members cannot answer your questions. However, we do value your participation. So whomever would like to step forward and start our public comments.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Coral, members of council, town staff, Arthur Hooley, 137 South Main Street. Just had a question in regards to a piece of mail that I received. It was directed towards tax assessments in the town. So I just had some questions on the process, maybe some transparency behind the process of gathering that data. And I guess the justification on that would be nice because I'm kind of at a loss on that. My taxes are paid up to date. Everything's registered with DMV, and I'm being assessed based off of my DMV record in the town of Bowling Green, which is not accurate. So I came in, met with town staff, didn't get a resolution, so I was just trying to bring it up at the meeting to see what we could do to, and I'm sure I'm probably not the only citizen in the town that has that. So what I gathered out of it is that the DMV record that I have online was essentially taken and copied onto a town letterhead and then sent out in the mail to say, hey, these are what we are going to assess you as for personal property tax. If you don't respond in a timely manner, we're going to start taxing you on this. So some items that are on there, I've never paid taxes in the town because they don't exist in the town. So my concern is I think it was just copied and pasted from DMV, which would make sense because all those are listed on the DMV to the state. But those are assets that I pay to other localities or aren't necessarily in the town. That was item one. Item two, I was going to say, wanted to just give some appreciation to town council, town staff, police department, with the increase of traffic, as we all know, through the town. Definitely been seeing the police force out there with the lights on. And so just been maintaining that, awareness for the speed through the town, citizen safety and everything. So wanted to say good job. And then I also saw where there was a public post about, I'd say, some activity around here. So that was good. Just wanted to say thanks. I think the newer officer to the town to assist Chief Cecil has been a great addition. And I know I spoke last time on his behalf. So just want to say thanks for that. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else before we close public comment? All right, we will close public comment and move on to member comment. Ms. Davis, any comments?
I do not have any.
Mr. Voigt?
I should briefly mention we got Clean Sweep coming up on the 27th of this month, and of course Harvest Festival in October. And there are several things going around that I want to be congratulatory about, or be appreciative of, like what Arthur just said, like with Officer Irving and that activity. I don't want to steal any thunder from anything, but there's some congrats to the town manager. I think she'll speak to later and a few other things, but I'll hold my comments there. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hagman?
None at this time.
Mr. Stork?
Yeah, just to speak to Arthur Hooley's comment, I also received a letter and I gave it to Ms. Tolliver this evening, and it was regarding a vehicle that, albeit it's away at college, with my son right now, it is garaged in Bowling Green. And I've always been aware in my past on council, like when you go to register and you buy a new vehicle, you go over here to DMV, you got to be real careful because they'll just put Caroline County, and you got to kind of say, no, I'm in the town. So I have a 2021 car that must not have been. I mean, at the funeral home, I've got a bunch of vehicles in town. I just didn't catch it. So I assume what was that, India? Did y'all pull a report, like names of people in town, and they came up with matched up with you? Because I think my car has not been taxed by the town since I've only had it for 3 years.
Well, happy to provide a more comprehensive update under my town manager's report, but
Okay.
and we can bring up Mr. Ashcraft, who's to helping with that as well. But essentially, as part of our cleanup of our records and really the historical inaccuracies of some of our records in town, and the staff turnover, I think there's been some years where some vehicles perhaps that were garaged in the town were not on the town's tax rolls. So we've been proactively working with our Commissioner of Revenue, Mr. Bassoon, as well as Mr. Watson, and they provided us with a list of vehicles that they believe, based on their records, to be garaged in the town of Bowling Green. And they asked us to send those out so that they can clean up their records and our records as well, so that people are not taxed inappropriately but accurately.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. End of member comments. We'll move on to staff reports and presentations. Please note that number 9 actually is not really unfinished business. It's part of staff and presentations, so you need to do anything official to move that up, or just leave it as is. Pardon me? All right, so we are going to I'll mention a presentation of the International City County Management Association, basically ICMA is the acronym, for credentialing manager certification. It is our immense pleasure to recognize Ms. Jacobs, who has over 7 years taken courses and professional conferences, etc., to acquire this accreditation. There's a brief press release. I'll just read a little of it. India Adams Jacobs, Town of Bowling Green, recently received the Credentialed Manager designation from ICMA, the International City County Management Association. Ms. India Jacobs, MPA, is one of just 1,300 local government management professionals currently credentialed through the ICMA voluntary credentialing program. She is qualified for this credential due to the fact that she has finished 7 years of professional local government experience, over a decade of local government experience as well, serving in counties, cities, and towns. Before she was appointed here in Bowling Green, she did serve as town manager of Colonial Beach, as well as assistant manager to the city of Petersburg. Again, it is a press release. It will be posted to our town website. But we'd all like to congratulate Ms. Adams Jacobs on receiving such credentials. I think anything credentialing and education is extremely important to progress your professional career. Oh, you and
Vice Mayor,
yes, sir.
one thing I want to say too is in my past life on council, I had never heard of the ICMA and didn't really know. But when we were interviewing people, and we had John Manzavino here, he he really it's a big deal. And John was like, she's going down that path to be credentialed, and so it's a huge thing for the little town of Bowling Green, and I'm very proud of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to FY23 audit presentation. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Is it on now? There we go. All right, thank you for having me here this evening. My name is Taylor Stover. I'm with Robinson Farmer Cox out of the Richmond office, and I was the partner in charge for the FY23 audit. I'm here to kind of present the draft audit. I know you guys just received that today, so I apologize for the late arrival there. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give you a brief summary of some of the results. So we were engaged to complete the FY23 audit for the town. That audit is subjected to what we call generally accepted auditing standards, as well as generally accepted government auditing standards. And then luckily, due to the fact you guys do not require a single audit, all the uniform guidance, compliance, and requirements do not apply to you this year, but typically those would apply as well. In your audit, we issue 2 opinions. We issue 1 opinion on the financial statements overall, and there's a second opinion in the back that we're going to issue on basically your compliance with internal controls and any other compliance in other matters that might be out there. I'm happy to report that we issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That is a clean opinion. It is the best opinion you could get on that. We also issued a material weakness on that other opinion that I mentioned over the internal controls financial report. We actually issued 3 material weaknesses on those, and I'll kind of briefly discuss those here for a moment. So the first one is over material adjustments for the audit. That basically means we came in, started doing our work, we made some accounts that needed adjustments, so we proposed those for the audit. Many of those were material in amount, and we hope to get that cleaned up, so hopefully, the smaller or fewer number of adjustments there. The second one is due to the accounting system difficulties you guys had over the past few years. We received what I would kind of call a compiled trial balance, where information was taken from multiple systems and try to clean that up and decipher it and get one clean trial balance, which when I say trial balance, I basically mean for each account, you just have one number at the end, so we see what the total is for the end of the year. Because of how that was compiled, there is not an accounting system, or general ledger that we could go to then look up the detail for all that information that supports that. which creates difficulties during the audit, going back and researching if you have any questions on anything. From my understanding, you guys are going forward with Keystone. So hopefully with all the information now being in one system, will eliminate some of that difficulty. The third one is going to be this year. We kind of noticed you have no formally written and adopted financial policies. So we're going to recommend that you guys get together and develop a number of policies, governing, purchasing policy, fund balance policy, cash management. Additionally, uniform guidance, which is what controls your federal programs when we have to audit there. They also have a specific number of items that they want you to address in your policies. And when we do a single audit, we need to review that to make sure that you're in compliance with those as well. So I think that would be a good step for the town to get those, written down somewhere. So that way there's just better control. Everybody knows what needs to happen and, the steps and the processes there. So I think that would be important for you all. Just to briefly kind of walk you through a report. I don't know how familiar you guys are with local government reports. So exhibits 1 and 2, as well as the proprietary fund exhibits. So those are going to be exhibits 7 through 9 that deal with your water and sewer funds. Those 5 exhibits are going to be a full accrual exhibit. So those are going to be similar to kind of what you would see with Coca-Cola, financial report. It's going to include all your financial capital assets, all your debt. It's going to include all your pension and OPEB information that's in there. Items that you would normally not see in your fund balance statements, or pardon me, in your fund statements. So just to briefly go over those numbers, because I don't think they're as important as the fund balance information there. So your net position for governmental activities increased $365,000 this year. So you're now sitting at basically 1.09 million. The net position for business type activities decreased approximately $550,000 this year. So besides those 5 exhibits that I mentioned, the rest of the financial statements are on a modified accrual basis. So those are the statements that are going to be more useful for you all when you're developing your budgets and kind of forecasting going forward, where you can kind of see the actual results that took place in the town. So to go over some fund balance, I mentioned those modified accrual statements. So in the general fund, you guys started the year with 618,000. We increased 410, so you ended with about $1.025 million in fund balance this year. That amount is actually a great number because your general fund balance covers 89% of your general fund expenditures. Basically, that's looking to say, here's the total we spent this year, as well as, here's our fund balance. The GFOA recommends a minimum of 18%. So you guys are sitting at 89%, so you're doing very well in that regard. Capital projects, you guys had no change this year. That is still actually a little negative fund balance of about $47,000. That just kind of represents money that's owed over to the general fund is all that's going to be. So in total, you guys started the year with 570,000 and you ended the year with 981. So you increased fund balance $410,000 this year. So I commend you all on that. In addition to the material weaknesses that we discussed previously, we also issued a management letter. So a management letter is a letter for us to discuss items that we discovered during the audit that do not arise to the level of either being a significant deficiency or a material weakness. They're just items we want to communicate with management, and by presenting here, communicate to governance. Just to let you know, there's some items we think need to be cleaned up. We had a couple repeat comments from last year's management letter. The first one is that we still have outstanding checks that need to be remitted to the Treasurer of Virginia for unclaimed property. So anything over a year old needs to be submitted to the treasurer. You submit in a form there, and basically do your due diligence, see if you can find who the payment is due to, and see if you can go ahead and get that taken care of. If not, then you're going to submit that money to the treasurer. They track all that on their website. I don't know if you guys ever look out to see if you have money from anybody, but you can do that. And that is what that is for. Additionally, we just think there's a few accounts. And again, I think it has to do with the accounting system difficulty, that it's just difficult to kind of be reconciling the refunds payable and the deposit liability account that you guys have. Most of that's related to the water and sewer system. Excuse me. Additionally, we had a couple other comments this year during our credit card test. Again, I think just doing it with the timing delay of the audit compared to everything and changes in staff, we were unable to locate some credit card receipts for the test we were trying to perform there. So we just recommend that all those credit card receipts be retained with the rest of the documentation, just so that can be reviewed for the audit and also for your records. We also noted late payment of invoices. I think that kind of maybe even goes back to, you know, having good policies and controls there, so everybody knows the process of how that needs to go, and there's just a routine for how those invoices are processed. Additionally, for the bank reconciliation, we had what I would call an immaterial variance there. So there was a little bit of a difference between, you know, what the reconciliation showed versus the actual cash on the books. But again, it was not enough to rise to the level of, you know, being a concern or material weakness. But I think it's one of those things that hopefully will get cleaned up as we, you know, get through these accounting system issues that we're discovering. So with that, that was my brief presentation on there. And I know you folks have only had this briefly, so you may not have any questions for me yet. But if so, I have my contact information here for you all that I'm more than happy to share. And obviously India can forward that to you as well if anything comes up. And at this point, I just ask if anybody has any questions.
I'd like to start with thanking Taylor and his team for this work. We started working with the Richmond office, I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And so glad to get this FY23. Can you just share the period that we're specifically talking about? Because I think we're saying this year, and I just want to make sure for the public,
So this is
they're
July
aware.
1, 22 to June 30, 2023.
Right.
Yes, we're a little behind there, but we do already have FY24 fieldwork scheduled for later this month for preliminary fieldwork. And then beginning of November, we'll be out here for final fieldwork for FY24.
Thank you. I'd also like to just thank Ms. Tolliver, who's been new to the team, but also helped get this underway, as well as Ms. Morgan, who's helped us as well. Just to clarify a couple things, I know Mr. Stover mentioned the Keystone accounting software. The town did transition away from BAI to Keystone during this period. As he mentioned, there were probably at least 2 systems that the town was working with, which resulted in that kind of modified trial balance that he mentioned based on the 2 systems that were in place. We have since transitioned from Keystone to Southern Software starting FY26. So officially, as in terms of our fiscal years being with 1 system of record, that will be starting in FY26. So you all could probably anticipate some of these same findings to follow through 24 and 25. Just for folks' awareness. But we have also started the conversation several months ago with our financial advisors at Davenport related to the financial policies that we know will be bringing forward for you all, which hopefully before the end of the year, we can try to get something adopted so it's within this fiscal year to hopefully have that finding removed or not appear in 26's audit. So.
Questions, anyone?
So, y'all are getting ready to get started on 24.
Yes, sir.
How long do you think that will take?
I'm not prepared to give that answer. I don't quite know what we're walking into yet. I know obviously we cleaned a lot of things up in 23. I'm excited to get these journal entries over to the town so they can get those posted and get, you know, kind of beginning balances for 24 started up and see where we're at. Ideally, I would like to have it done by 12/15. I'm going to kind of keep you guys with what I would say is my FY25 audits, where I'm going to have all those done by 12/15. That's my goal. I cannot promise that that's going to happen. It was a difficult audit, working with those systems and not having the GL to go back to and all that. And then, you know, you can request a report, and if it's out of BAI, you no longer have access to BAI, so we couldn't even get, you know, reports out of there. So it was difficult. And that's why it took longer than I expected to even get FY23 out.
So 24, that's Keystone still?
Both systems, yeah.
Or the, okay.
And I would also mention during this audit period is when there still was, I would say, ample ARPA dollars around. So I think some of what we're seeing, that ARPA funds and those ARPA monies did subsidize some projects along the way, which could also contribute to that increase in the fund balance, which was great during that time, as well as high staff turnover. So if you didn't have staffing, you saved in some instances on all sorts of staffing costs and related to that. So I think as we progress, you'll see some of those things start to trend probably in the opposite direction as you have full staffing. But I would also mention, as it relates to the credit card statements and some of the other records that we were not able to find, just because of that staff turnover, none of the staff that are currently here that have completed FY22 or 23 were a part on staff during the audit periods in question. So we have done our due diligence, cleaning out our back office room back there. We actually took an opportunity during Mr. Voigt's clean sweep, and I brought staff in. We cleaned out all of the back records room as well as our records room in the back, and to try to pour over any documentation that we could find, and that still, to the best of our ability, resulted with not being able to produce some documents that they requested. So we will probably see some of that as well in 24.
I think it's very important because when you listen to this and you don't know you're talking about 23, everybody thinks we're talking about today, and that ARPA money is going to skew that big.
I would like to point out, because I know it's all kind of historical at this point, I'm sure you guys have spent all your ARPA by now, but you had $991,000 left in ARPA at the end of FY23. So that's not included in fund balance, because basically how that works is you have asset and cash and you have a liability down there for that unearned revenue. So it's not inflating your fund balance. Just heads up there.
Any other questions? All right.
All right.
Thank you again for taking the time to come and prepare all this. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And just to give you a heads up, we're probably about 2.5 weeks from finalizing the report. It goes to our quality control department. They're going to do their reviews. So there might be some slight adjustments in here from when you see the final. But it takes about 2.5 weeks to get them to review and then make the changes and get it finalized. So approximately 2.5. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your evening.
All right, moving on to number 4, police report. Chief Cecil not here. Do you want to just fill in for?
Sure. Yeah, unfortunately, Chief Cecil could not be here tonight. But just like to echo the sentiments that have already been shared related to Officer Irving. He's been doing a great job. He did end up in a high-speed chase, which resulted in an arrest of someone who had outstanding warrants and I believe felonies. And so that gentleman is off the street. And then there has been at least 2 cases of missing persons in the community that Chief Cecil has been working in collaboration with the state police as well as the Sheriff's Department, Carolina County Sheriff's Department, actively through the last several weeks. So the BGPD has been very active, and we thank them for their support as well as preparation for Harvest Festival, which is underway. But there has been some increase as well on traffic enforcement. Officer Irving is really focusing on that and cracking down on Main Street, particularly on the weekends as well with the speeders, as Mr. Worley mentioned earlier. So I think that would conclude the police department's report.
Great. Public Works Department, Mr. Fortune.
Good evening. Good evening. Any questions? I'm doing just great. Always.
So Sean has his report included. I'll highlight a couple things that have been completed since the last meeting. They've been working with a contractor to get some beautification efforts completed, including the gateway signage into town. So those 2 have been repainted and replaced. And next fiscal year, we'll probably work on a few others and then plan in our future CIP to have those replaced probably in the next 4 to 5 years. There's some warping of those signs as they are wooden signs, but they've worked on that. We have signage on our AED machine, as we should for risk purposes. We also have implemented a new lockbox outside of town. If you'll see, that is ADA compliant. So if you happen to be in a wheelchair and need to drop off something after hours, you don't have to try to come up the steps. We will be decommissioning the drop box right outside of the office, and then that black drop box outside will be the official drop box moving forward. Also, to improve communications and customer service, we worked on new leak alerts that will be placed at residents that we see based on our system. Our meters will alert Mr. Fortune if there are believed to be leaks at properties or high usage based on water, so that if you get one of these on your doors, you should email or call town hall and then reach out to a plumber probably to fix your issue so that you don't end up with a high bill later on down the road. And then you can work with our department to work through that if that is in fact the case. So if you see this door hanger, it'll be because our systems have alerted us that you probably have a leak on your property. So that is a process improvement, and I thank Mr. Fortune for bringing up the idea and working to get that out to our community. So I think he also patched a spot near the hardware shop. That was kind of a holdover from our Main Street work, as well as working internally on our GIS system with CERCAP. So a lot going on in the public works and utilities world. So thank you, Mr. Fortune.
And we also replaced the range in the kitchen that was bad. So we have a new range in there. And next we'll be working on replacing the refrigerators in there. So that'll be our next thing probably this month coming up. We'll try to get those replaced and get it fixed up in there for people to start renting the building a little more. All right, thank you. Have a blessed day.
Next up, finance.
Good evening, everyone. I don't want to rehash too much, so just let me know if you have any questions. But the most important thing on here, other than the audit, which Mr. Stover went over, is that we got the real estate and personal property data files from the county. So we've started the mapping for the new system. So we should be able to get that started pretty soon, hopefully with no issues. I'm pretty sure also Percy can speak if he comes up in regards to the letters that we sent out for the personal property. We received a good bit of them. I know this says about 33, but it's probably around 50 now that we've gotten. And then for the front desk, we've had about 80 front desk customers come in, as well as they have been doing a really good job with working with a lot of the customers who are not familiar with the new PSN system and how to pay online. So they've been very helpful with that. We've had our IT person put in a computer on the outside here in order to assist them. So that's been really good. We've had 3 town hall events in August. And just as a follow-up from some of the other requests that we had. The Public Works Department is now showing in the budget. It wasn't showing before, and that was an issue on the back end, so that's showing. And then the miscellaneous expense has been moved. That was from Dominion Energy, which we get that every single month for utility tax. So that is in the right code. And then the fuel is also always split between the Public Works and the Police Department. Any questions?
I'll also share, I'll be sending council a memo, some of the cleanup process that we've been working on. One of our, I think, previous audit conversations was related to late payments pertaining to our 941s. And so we did finally get some communication from the IRS on that and did have to pay those penalties and fees pertaining to that from some of these prior audit periods that we were discussing. And I think it's about an amount of $3,000. And that is in the report under the late fees and penalties. So if you see that line item that has changed from the previous month, that is because we have paid that. There may be some more in the future, but we will bring that to you all once we get it. But we'll obviously actively continuing to work through some of those challenges and clean up from prior administration. So thank you all for your understanding and patience.
Thank you, Hope. Utilities report, Bowden.
Good evening, everybody. Everything was really quiet again this month, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet unless you have questions. We maintain safe drinking water and nothing really out of the ordinary usage. And for wastewater, we maintain compliance and we are still maintaining lower ammonias. That's just monitoring. It's not enforceable, but they just want to make sure that we can do that. So everything's going really good with the wastewater plant. Everything looks great. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
And we are still monitoring the gross alpha, and that has been sent off, and we are awaiting results for this quarter. That's it.
All right, town manager report, Ms. Adams, please. Jacob.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. At our last meeting, you all appointed members to the BZA and the EDA, so all of that information has been sent off to the appropriate parties. Our attorney has sent off the BZA to the district court, and I've contacted both the BZA members as well as the EDA members to notify them of their appointments. Under infrastructure and developments, our USDA project coordination for our waterline project continues. We have a couple of meetings upcoming with both VDOT, USDA, as well as Webb and Associates, the contracted engineer on this project. Under our GIS progress, we have met again with CERCAP. They did a number of field work and assessments in the month of July to produce our GIS system, which will enhance our municipal mapping and data management capabilities for appropriate asset management and infrastructure maintenance. And we will hopefully be able to launch that internally in the coming months. But that work is progressing. Under grants administration, I have worked to close out at least one ICSA project. So we have officially received our first funding from our 10% of our ICSA, and Hope has been working with the finance department through the base, as well as myself kind of as PMing this with our base partners over at Fort Walker. We have one bid that closed last week, so we'll be working on that, and then one that will close the month of September 19th. So we'll be working with our town attorneys and AP Hill on that as that moves forward. Our VDH grant, our hydrogeological source evaluation grant from 2024, we're finally closing out. Stantec came and presented that last month. There's a lot of procurement follow-up that's required to send to the state so that we get that $45,000 reimbursed, but that has been officially submitted last week to their offices. Under community events and permits, we met today with public safety partners at the county fire EMS, as well as Virginia State Police and our public works, and as well as our chief of police, with our event coordinator to go over plans for Harvest Festival. We are doing an official kickoff that Friday night for our Music on the Green to lead in to Harvest Festival, so that will be a change this upcoming year. Under major developments, there's some included in the report, most notably the permanent relocation of the 29th Infantry Division for the National Guard to Fort AP Hill, which will bring over 200 soldiers back to the base, I think, after more than 20 years. So that will be a significant addition to our local community, both in presence and economic impact. So at a future, I think, economic development authority meeting will discuss that on a broader scale, as well as our Main Street efforts. We're also closing out the technical assistance grant, and I'm supporting our Main Street group in that effort as well. That was a $3,500 grant to get our Main Street kind of back moving forward in terms of nonprofit compliance. I attended a Virginia Wastewater and Rural Authority Leadership Symposium 2 weeks ago, along with Sean. So we got some great takeaways from that as it pertains to work orders and service orders and better service delivery. We also have 2 new businesses that will be opening soon. The first is Ladybirds. They will hold their grand opening this Saturday at 10 a.m. And then Smoothie Haven will be opening soon. We don't have an official date, but that will be beside the Fit by Kai and the Goodwill in that shopping center. So very excited for the new businesses that'll be coming to town. And at this point, I think we are at 100% capacity. I don't think we have any retail spaces open in town, which is a good problem, but also something to consider moving forward as we want to continue to track some amenities to support some of the new growth as well. So very excited. And if you have any questions, here to answer.
So the ICSA, so the job was completed and Army pays that, they pay us, they pay the contractor,
They pay us.
and then
We pay the contractor and we keep 10%.
we keep 10%.
Yes, sir.
And so that's all happened on the first project.
Yes.
That's awesome.
There were the first project, but there were kind of 2 in that first project. So, yeah. And we are including that funding there was a joint land use fund that was left over from the previous budgets from like the BAI era. So we're putting that, we renamed that joint land use / ICSA so that that's delineated from everything that's in the general fund so it doesn't get commingled.
Any questions? Moving on.
Could I just add, Madam Vice Mayor, the specific questions around the personal property registration initiative is at the end of my report. It's the second to last paragraph as it pertains to those letters that were sent out to residents. So if there's more clarification needed, it's included at the end of my report.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, under new business, first up is special events application for 5K and youth 1 mile race for May 2nd, 2026. We do have a memorandum in the back, page 84. Just to give some background. Staff completed a comprehensive review of the special event notification form submitted for a 5K run. The application involves anticipated participation exceeding 50 individuals, thereby triggering a municipal notification requirement under established special event protocols. We will require a motion for this.
Yes, we have the applicants here to speak a little bit about the race.
Great.
And they have also proactively been in contact with the sheriff's department and had their approval. We've also met internally with BGPT, PD, and Chief Cecil has also pledged his support and approval as well. So I'll allow them to go ahead and take over and share a little bit about the race.
Hi, my name is Sharika Twiner. I'm the executive director of the Caroline Family YMCA. And my name is Fiona. So a little history. The Y has worked with the Festival of the Feet in the past many years ago, and have desperately wanted to bring a race back to Bowling Green, especially to help revitalize your Main Street. It is very popular racing right now. We have races in Richmond as well as Fredericksburg, and Caroline is just fallen short. So with the history of Festival of the Feet and the Y's involvement, we would desperately wanted to bring awareness to mental health. Ms. Lewis reached out to the YMCA as we're looking at the impact the Y can bring to all of Caroline County and this area, and we realized that we can't do it on our own. So with her nonprofit partnered with the Y, we thought it would be a great time, especially in May, to revitalize racing and bring awareness to mental health and resources to Caroline County. We're partnering with Arsenal Events, who is a professional race company that runs our Turkey Trot as well as the Great Train Race in Fredericksburg. So with her history and experience in racing, we feel that it will be a professional, well sought after race and that will grow for years. So we are looking to contract with her for 3 years. The first year to let her company fully run the race, the second year for us to be involved with the shadowing, and then the third year for us to shadow a little more, and then the fourth year it to be run fully by the Y as well as her organization. So with the experience that Kristen Loescher and Arsenal Events bring, I think we will be able to put on a great race and heighten Bowling Green, as well as bring in local businesses to get coupons and things in our goodie bags, if you will, that will encourage people to come back to Bowling Green and support local business.
You have a planned route yet?
Yes, we do have the 1 mile fun run that we're looking at doing down Main Street. The 5K, we are working with the Sheriff's Department, and we will look at the best way to incorporate that, as the Festival of the Feet, I believe, was a 10K. So that is our long-term aspiration, once this race is popular, to bring the 10K back to Bowling Green in probably 4 to 5 years. But we do have a 1 mile run course, and the 5 mile we are still mapping out. I mean, the 5K, not a 5 mile. Yeah, we're still mapping out.
I've had people ask why wasn't it longer, but you just answered that question as well. So
Yeah, I
thank you.
think with it being the first time in a long time, to kind of build the interest and then get people who want to do a longer distance will make it more successful.
What will it be called?
It's going to be called Mindful Miles. And we're working with a graphic artist to come up with our logo and things of that nature. So once we have that information, we'll be happy to forward it on.
When are you going to start marketing for that?
We are hoping that once we get your approval, that we will be able to have a booth at the Harvest Festival. We plan on having the website up and registration open by the Harvest Festival, so that we can highlight the town and the race and invite people to come back in May.
Very organized. Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
And you will have a big media presence on this, like in Richmond and Fredericksburg, because there's a lot of runners that'll go out of town to run.
Exactly. And that's what we're finding. So like I said, people either go to Richmond or Fredericksburg, and there's just nothing here in Caroline. So Kristen is very versed with the Fredericksburg's running clubs as well as the Richmond community. So we will market to all of that as well.
And you're anticipating almost 400 people according to your.
Yes, ma'am. That's our goal for the first year.
Great.
And we as staff have also provided them with the application that's required with VDOT. So we'll work with them through that as well.
Thanks, Mayor Cole. I move the council vote to approve the special event application 2025-0701.
I second that motion.
You have motion from Mr. Stork for approval with a second from Mr. Hageman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion?
All right, well, we're very excited. Thank you so much for your support. All right. Have a great evening.
Right. Town council member appointment to planning commission. Ms. Jacobs, do you want to give us some background on that?
Sure. I think in the last several months, we've been working to clean up our committees, boards, and or commissions and boards. All of our appointments to our BZA is now current, as well as our planning commission, well, as well as our EDA, and obviously town council. One of the items that was brought to my attention, I think earlier in the year, I think by the mayor, was related to the appointment from the town council, which I think we call the liaison, but I think officially our town code says appointment of a town council member to the planning commission. And Mr. Voigt's, I think, expired in July. So you all as a council need to make a decision to make an appointment so that it is compliant like all the other appointments through the end of the year. And then in January, you can make an appointment in line with the vice mayor and the other roles so that it's clean from a records perspective. So with my clerk hat on, just asking you all to take an action on this one. And particularly as we're coming up on some comp plan discussions and we just want to make sure everything is squared away.
Any discussion, any questions? Recommendation?
No. You remember exactly when it went askew like that? Was it?
It went crazy, weird like that when I took over, when Ms. Davis stopped being planning commission appointment, and I took over that position, and it happened to be stuck in the middle of the year,
Okay.
and that's why it happened. Which kind of skewed everything up, but I don't see any challenge why Mr. Voigt cannot continue until the end of the year, and then once we're on target again, we'll just have further discussion. If that makes sense. So is there anything else we need to do? We don't need a motion for that, do you? We do need a motion, so I didn't see that down there. Through the end of 2025. Does someone like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Voigt for the remainder of 2025 on planning commission for as a council appointee? Right, motion made by Ms. Davis, second by Mr. Hageman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Motion passes. There you go. All right, our next item 12 is legislative agenda discussion.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Included in here is our packet from last year. This was mainly just a recap to just bring to your attention that at the next council meeting, I intend to bring the 2026 legislative agenda for your consideration. Again, last year we did highlight our public infrastructure needs as well as just supporting the base in any future expansions, which now is happening. Which is great for our community. I think I would consider continuing the same priorities as it relates to water and sewer infrastructure. As you know, the past General Assembly session, I worked with Senator Stewart as well as Delegate Pugh Kent, particularly around our gross alpha issues. And we were called out in the budget in the priority for grant funding for those efforts. So within the next couple of months, we'll know how we fare there. But I think in the upcoming session, as well as at the federal level, if there are opportunities to continue to target for our infrastructure needs, as council highlighted at the strategic planning retreat, as well as possibly if you all want to consider it now, thinking about maybe some recreational opportunities, but honing in to no more than 3 or 4 is generally yield the best results when going to work with our legislators. So happy to take any feedback though.
Does anybody have any questions on the legislative agenda that we kind of pretty much reviewed in our retreat? All right, next section, informational items. I don't think we have any informational. Mr. Boyd, you already told us about clean sleep. Do you have anything else?
One more thing, I did forget to mention that we do have the Music on the Green at the end of this month on the last Friday. That'll be Gloria's Imagination on the 26th.
All right, we do have another public comment section. Are there anyone who would like to make a public comment? Please approach the podium. Don't all rush. Okay. We'll close public comment. Any member comments? All right. No one has member comments. All right. At this moment, we will go into closed session. Does someone have the language for that? I don't have that.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah.
Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A, parentheses 1, to discuss the performance and compensation of specific town employees.
Second.
All right, Mr. Hageman has made a motion for the closed session. Mr. Stork has second. All in favor? Yeah. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we will now go into closed session.
Aye.
John's got a little delay. That was John that come in. There's a little bit of delay on
Oh.
the phone.
Okay, didn't hear there. All right. Thanks, Mr. Groh.
certified.
I move we have to move on the closed session.
Right.
The motion certified.
Okay. I make a motion that we certify that the only things we discussed in closed session were those that related specifically to the code section, the reason we went into closed session.
I second that.
We'll do a roll call for certification. Ms. Davis,
I certify.
Mr. Boyd,
I certify.
Coyle certify.
I certify.
I certify.
John?
I certify.
All right, we're all certified. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve some additional employee compensation as we discussed in closed session for the 2 employees that were affected under an old policy.
Mr. Stork has made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Hegman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor approved. Okay. All right, no further discussion or items. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Adjournment by Ms. Davis and second by Mr. Hegman. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next month.
Have fun in Nebraska, John.